been so long, like 2 days, 3 days since I streamed. Okay, hi. I didn't really know what to stream, but I have a few meetings tomorrow which may make use of the Measure app. Airtones Anon. Hello. Did I pronounce that correctly? Thanks for the bit. So I have a meeting tomorrow a couple meetings tomorrow that could use this app, and I wanted to do a bit more work on it. It's Laravel Livewire based, and yeah, so I want to keep working on it. Let me boot it up, and then you can see what it looks like. What doesn't serve? I'm also trying Streamlabs OBS again, and hopefully it doesn't keep crashing like it was on Wednesday. Okay, so this is a feedback app. It's meant to allow people to record how they feel about different aspects of their job. And so on Wednesday, I fixed a couple bugs, and then I built out this view, which is like a view that tells you, that lets you pick when you're entering data for, or shows you the other days that you have entered data for. So I can go back to the first, and I can see stuff I entered there. Or I can go to today and enter new data. Now this works okay for people who want to record their own data, and with the bug fixes, hopefully it's a bit more stable. But the system is also supposed to allow someone to give feedback on someone else. So I need to have a few things I need to do. Hold on. Let's do some user flows here. So for myself, what does the flow look like for myself? I log in. I pick a date. I enter answers. That's basically it for myself. For someone giving feedback on someone else, I suppose they also have to log in. Maybe they can follow the same thing starting off, but then they pick a date, and then they also pick a person. And how do they do that? How do they pick a person? Do they enter an email address? And what if they want to give feedback anonymously? Do they say at this point, I want to give anonymous feedback? When I started this, I wanted to do it in such a way that if someone wanted to give anonymous feedback, because in some company cultures that's quite the done thing, people might not generally be as willing to be honest about a thing straight up to someone. So I wanted to allow someone to give anonymous feedback, but then I also want there to be some way for that to be reviewed by an impartial third party. If Sarah has a beef with something that Bob is doing wrong, and Sarah is feeling very emotionally charged and wants to say very strong words to Bob, there should probably be someone in the way that could filter the feedback so that it is not emotionally charged. But how do I do that? So far I've been designing a system that you just need a Google account to log into. Now adding the idea of like line managers to intercept feedback, that seems We could do that. If someone logs in, they need to put in the email address of their line manager. And then if someone else gives anonymous feedback, that feedback gets reviewed by the line manager before it's visible to the person it's meant for. Okay, let's do the idea of line managers. Okay, so you pick a date that you're entering the feedback for. You pick the person you want to give the feedback to. Something like this, and then if yes, else if no, feedback goes straight. Then I guess at this point, if you are logging in, we should actually move all of these things up, because if you are logging in and you don't have a line manager, so I'll do this first. So if it's yes, but if it's no, a hot drink arrives. Thank you. If it's no, then enter your line manager's address. And until you enter your line manager's address, you don't see feedback for yourself. You can capture your own feedback. Oh, not that. You can capture your own feedback, but until you enter your line manager's address, you don't see anonymous feedback. When you do enter your line manager's address, then they will see anonymous feedback submitted for you, and then as a line manager, you log in, review, filter anonymous feedback. That's where that goes. Okay. Let's box these a little bit, because this is in my like global mind mapping thing. So just want to identify this a little bit better. Excalidraw, which is this thing that I'm using, is really cool. Love it. Okay, this and this and this. Let's give you solid. Lol. Do you support hex with alpha? If I say like, CC, you support hex with alpha, that's amazing. Very cool. Okay. Nord CF and hex with alpha, maybe much less than that, like that. And let's do this all the way to the back, and let's just have that, and these can go to the back as well, or to the back and then one forward. What happens if you do that? All the way to the back and then one forward. All the way to the back and then one forward. All the way to the back and then one forward. That's very interesting. I'm not really sure what, like, it would be cool to see if you're selecting on it to see what Z index it is. But anyway, not that important. However, this could probably change to something a little bit lighter. Like that, and let's give it a label, measure user flows. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so we need to add the concept of line managers, and then for users as they're logging in, if they don't have a line manager, they need to enter the email address of a line manager. Okay, that's the first thing we need to do. Just had to make sure I wasn't missing out on anything in chat. Okay, this is a Laravel app, so I can do artisan make migration, add line manager field to users table. Whew! What a mouthful. Okay, let's delete these useless things. Table string line manager email. I always like having the down thing work well. Table drop column line manager email. Cool. So we can migrate this. Do you hear like a mic thing every time I turn my head? I hear the hoodie scrape. No, I can't see on the levels there. Anyway. Okay, so there's that, and then if I refresh, I'm not going to see anything new, but what I thank you for the confirmation. What I want to do is, if you need to pick a line manager, how do we do this? Maybe just in a global thing. I'm not really fussed about where this sits. Maybe let's do it above the navigation though. Yeah, let's do it above the navigation. So if auth, let's actually do it with an unless auth user line manager email Okay, I'm wondering if I shouldn't make this a Livewire component, because I do so love Livewire components. Kill Yarrick. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Welcome. Doing good. How are you doing? What are you doing? Artisan make Livewire set line manager email. Cool. So this should actually go in the, not there, in this component here. And then because I'm already using Livewire style components, let me have a look. Yeah. Let's do, oof, that didn't work. That didn't, what? Copy. Paste. Okay. So we should still see that. Very good. And then answer questions has templates for fields. Not very good ones, unfortunately. But there you go. Set line manager email. Something like this. This margin bottom can go to the top container. And this should probably also be like pretty much the same thing there. But I can get rid of that, and I can get rid of that. No. That should probably stay in there. And this should be a div. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, 1440p. I would have hoped there would be transcoding by now, though, unfortunately. This is actually should be inside, and this should probably be a span then. So if we do it like that, and like that, so we can get rid of this bottom span. Oof, I hate that. That's why it's so wide. You mean the 1440p thing? Sorry. I'm sorry about that. Okay. The component is, I need that variable passed down. Public function mount auth user line manager email. That it? Okay. I don't see a save button though, which do I need a save button? Probably not. What does this do? Does that work in Livewire? Oh, no, I can't do it like that though. Oh. I think this will work. I think this will work. I won't redirect, but I'll say like that, and then it saved it, and the next time I refresh, this line will be gone. So I was hesitant there to do the redirect because that was an on-change handler, so every time I entered a character, or stopped typing, I guess, for a few hundred milliseconds, it would have hit that method. And so I was worried that it would redirect out of that and not let me type the full address if I was a very slow typer. Measure users. So there this is the account that I'm in at the moment, and line manager email. So now I won't see this message on here, but if I log in with that, auth user, unless if and not sigh. Okay, so if I log in with a different account, I will see a request for entering my line manager's email. Okay, that's okay. But now on the dashboard, I want to show who the people are that I'm line manager for. Okay, how do I show this in a nice way though? User, public function, reportees, is that a word? Reports. I don't know. It seems very, yeah, reports. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, what's a good word for that, chat? Has many user class, and this is line manager email and email. I think that's the order that I'm going for, right? I think that's the order that I'm going for. So if I say if the auth user reports counts, make it functional, and then make it pretty. For each let's remove that space. Yay! Let's put their email in brackets. Hello. I can't remember how to pronounce your name. Troika. Yes. Would you believe I said that a second before I saw you type it? I remember. Troika. Welcome. Okay. So, into your line manager's email should probably go in like a settings thing. So let's add a settings tab. It's all little bits and pieces that I'm adding in order to get this peer feedback thing. Oh, excuse me. Let me have a drink of coffee. It's hot chocolate. How are you doing, Troika? What are you doing? Okay. It is Laravel, it is Livewire. I am working on a feedback application. When it is not so broken, I will show you what it looks like. Show settings. I really need to try this Livewire routing. But for now, I will stick with the tried and true. Oh, not like that though. The tried and true single action controllers. Okay, there's that, and then we need to make a show settings. What are we calling these components actually? Change settings. Change settings? So I'm calling the controller and the route show settings, but the thing that manages those settings I'm just calling change settings. Although I should actually do each settings thing as a discrete Livewire component, so I don't know if I need this. And I'll show you why. Because here in show settings, which I don't have, oh, I'll have to make that blade. Live wire I can actually do this. Oof. Very Lord of the Rings music. So settings will have show line manager email. Show settings. Okay, so you can go and you can change it in settings, but if we're in settings, we should probably not show that. And not route is. Show settings? Is that how you match for a route? Nope. URL is. URL matches. What is this method? Don't do this to me. Digging deeper, helpers. URL. Current. It's the URL generator, but what is the method that I can use to match a subpath? Laravel framework. Oh, where will this be? Support? Nope. Oh, routing actually. Routing URL generator. Here we go. To secure asset. Where is your match? Oh, come on. What do you extend? Macroable. Is this a macro that's applied somewhere? Oh. First time checking Livewire, something widely similar was in CodeIgnite as fuel. View files. Calling actions there, I think. Yeah, it's not a very new idea, but I think it is, in my opinion, doing it very well in the Laravel community. Yeah. Okay. URL current. Let's see what URL current is. Is there like a different helper I can use for this then? Route? No, because route wants to make. URL is the thing I need. It's just how do I match? Request is. Oh, that should be URL or route. That should be. Oof. Request is, so you can do it by a partial path. Route current get name. Now, I think route request is probably going to give me the closest match to this. Okay, so if you are anywhere else and you don't have, yeah, if you are anywhere and you don't have a line manager's email, it'll moan at you. But then if you go into settings, it won't show it up above nav, so I can style that as an alert, I guess. And then you can hit this over here, and it won't show it to you anywhere. But then if you do this over here, and you go to settings, you'll see that value in there. Okay, very cool. So let's go back to my India account. And there I can see the line manager I've put in there. Okay, so that's actually the first chunk of work, which is set up line managers. We've got a relationship here based on email address. We've got an alert if you haven't set this up before. We've got a new settings screen. And we show who your reports are when you go to the dashboard. And then just some writing around that. That sounded like the end of an album. No, it's quite far until the end of this album. Okay. Make this a little bit bigger. So, now, what we should do is have a way. Okay, let's go back to our whiteboard. Go back to our whiteboard quickly. So, for myself, I log in. Do I have a line manager? No. Then it tells me, hey, enter your line manager's address. Yes. Okay. So you can go to reflect and you can pick a date and you can start entering feedback for yourself. As a line manager, I log in and then review, filter, anonymous feedback. Yes, we'll get to that. We already show who your reports are. So it's a step above that to say, okay, are there any bits of feedback that haven't been put in front of this person yet that you need to review? And then you can review it and say, yes, this can go through, or no, it can't. But we're busy in this section over here. So as someone who wants to give feedback for someone they work with, like Sally wanting to give feedback for Bill, Sally can log in, pick a date. Although I think this matters less. I think picking a date doesn't matter as much as picking the person. Like maybe, hello, why can't I move this around? Just a bit of lag. I think picking a person's actually a little bit more important than picking a date at this stage. And you'd pick a person just by email. So you can't tell if they're in the system. you just have to enter their email address. And we're going to need some way for like a system admin or something to see all, like a catch-all for all feedback. I don't know. Maybe your dashboard, maybe if you work with someone and you give them feedback, your dashboard should show the previous bits of feedback you've given or email addresses of the people you've previously given feedback to, with a way to correct those mail addresses. But I think that's a little bit down the line. For now, I want to focus on just what I've got here. So picking a person by entering an email address, picking a date for that feedback, and then specifying, is this anonymous or not? Which means in our database for answers, which is this ugly table here, we need to have a way to say whether this is anonymous or not, and if it's anonymous, whether it's been reviewed or not. So we can do that. This is a problem. So date in the context of feedback is when you gave it. It's less important from a capturing point of view than it is from a review point of view. It is sort of important from a capturing point of view in that if you're migrating from another way of capturing feedback like Google Docs or pen and paper, it makes sense for you to say, okay, this feedback was given at this time, so we can have a look at feedback before and after in the correct context. But if someone starts at this company and this is the first time they give feedback for themselves or for other people, having a date's helpful there because they can see the change over time. We can do things like showing, in this view, like showing when you gave feedback on what dates, to show you if there are extended periods of time you didn't think about what your work is like or think about the work that folks around you do. So this is a context in which that's potentially helpful. We can maybe I don't know. I think it's another thing I want to allow people to do is to go back and to review, not to go back and to edit necessarily, but to be able to say, hey, like, what was the thing that I said about them in this area last time? Was it heeded or ignored? Have they improved in that area or not? Like, there is value to being able to go back in the past to see what you said about a person last time. So I do kind of want to keep the ability to selectively enter on a certain date. I don't know. I don't think the date's such a huge issue. It might be a UI thing that gets changed. What I think is an issue is that this user ID field could now be multiple things in the context of giving feedback for someone. I think this should be a author ID field and a recipient ID field, or like who it's for and who it's from. So like for user ID, from user ID. And then where it applies to this relationship, we can say, okay, this is actually supposed to be for user ID. And if it doesn't have a from user ID, then if that's null, then it's just answers I gave myself. So like, I don't know how to do that. that's I think a bigger issue to figure out right now is what does this user ID mean? And I think it means I need to modify this table. Very verbose table names. Nable tames. Very verbose. Nable tames. Okay, so we've got drop. I know what the drop things are. So drop column from user ID. And this string, no, it's not actually a string. It is a unsigned big integer. So this will be the same as that. And then we need to rename a column. Migrations, modifying, no, renaming, no, it is modifying. Rename column, there we go. Okay, so we rename user ID to for user ID, and here we rename it back. We want to down this. What table did this go to? Users, okay. Cool. Okay, so the idea is once we run this, oh, what is in Laravel suggests? Will I have that in here? Nope. Will I have that in here? Nope. What is in the suggest? It's going to tell me Doctrine Debel, I think. I'm guessing. Doctrine Debel. So I'm obviously using a SQLite thing, I think. Or it's just doing it if I don't have debel. It's just moaning the whole time whether or not I'm using MySQL. Obviously I'm using MySQL because SQL Pro's showing me the database changes. So I guess what it's doing is if you try and rename but you haven't installed Doctrine Debel, it moans whether or not it actually needs it. Disappointing. Interesting. A feedback pivot. Feedback belongs to user, but also user belongs to many feedback. And feedback belongs to many user with this. I don't know if I want to do a pivot though. Do I really need to? Is that like a performance thing that I should be thinking about already? I don't immediately see the value of that. That I gain from not just having the answer relate or the feedback relate to two users. Let's see how far I can get without a pivot. I think pivot starts to complicate stuff a little bit more than I want right now. Let's see if I can do it without a pivot. To begin with. did it just like rename it anyway, even though it moaned? Column does not exist. Rename column user ID to for user ID, and then do from drop column rename for user ID to ID. Why? Oh, it's not user answers. Okay, for user ID, from user ID. Let's try without the pivot initially and see if I can pull it off. It might be bad database structure. I want to work through it first because I don't initially understand the benefit of doing it with a pivot. So does this break now if I refresh this? Yeah, I'm not getting that answer back. Did I lose the data in that column? For user ID 1, from user ID 0, this needs to be nullable. Oh, damn it. Make a new migration. Oh, this table name is on users table. Which means I'll just jimmy this quickly. Kind of defeats the point of doing a thing, but anyway. No, I'm doing this purely from a best practice point of view. Table. How do you change something to be nullable? Modifying columns. String that. Okay. I suppose I'm going to have to use the big int thing then. And then back to the original would just be removing that nullability. Is that a word? No! Duplicate column name. It's because it's trying to run that migration again. Stop your nonsense. Damn it, what was this one called? I changed the wrong one. Oh, I'm messing up things. Okay. That should allow me to do that, and then I have the fourth migration in there, and then this should answers should now be allowed to be nullable. Allow null and contents. Okay, so these were 0 because they weren't null. Now they can be null. I don't think that fixes my problem, but that does make the data a little bit neater, I think. Question is, how am I getting these things now? user answers. So this is obviously not returning what it was returning before, just an empty array. Not good. So maybe I'm not defining this relationship properly. Has many, want many, has many. Foreign key, local key. Oh, I do need to change this. So for and from. That's not going to be confusing at all. And answer questions. How does this do this? Answered for user ID. Otherwise return a new one. This is very confusing. Should be answered at. I don't want to change that right now. This still isn't going to work. And to be honest, I don't know why. For user ID 1. So I have 2 days worth of stuff in there. Let me get rid of that print R. See, that doesn't reflect further back. It's not returning any at this point, and that's the problem. It should return 2. So I think it's definitely a case of this relationship that's not doing well. This has many, user has many answers. For user ID is the foreign key, and this is the local key. It should actually just be ID, not user ID. There we go. That was it. So I should still be able to go in here and see my things, which fixes that foreign key change. So we have for user ID in here. From user ID is unpopulated until someone gives feedback for someone else. Now, how do we determine that? No, you didn't make a mess. It's a good suggestion. It's a good suggestion. Thank you for making it. It is something I want to investigate, but I think right now I want to get a bit of functionality there, so I'm not trying to think about the functionality the whole time, and I can carefully consider. Yes, answer is feedback. I wanted to call it feedback, and then I couldn't think of a nice enough distinction between plural and singular for models and table names and all those things, so I thought answer. But then it's like a whole bunch of answers in the one survey thing. So maybe I should have called it survey. I don't know. Naming is so hard. Okay, so user ID is the person you're giving this feedback for. It's easy enough to, and I did it like that because it's easy enough to switch from like giving feedback for myself to giving feedback for someone else. But what we need to do is, should be checked if Inflector has that. Yeah, maybe feedback and feedbacks. You see, I'm getting this the wrong way, I think. I think I'm querying this the wrong way. What I should be doing is answer. Oof. Oh my goodness. Answer is this user answers where first or fail. No, first. That's what I should be doing, because then I don't use user ID in here yet. Maybe I do it like that. Okay. Otherwise, do this. Now, maybe I should use first or new. Is there a method that will let me do that in Laravel? I'm pretty sure there is, otherwise I wouldn't have said it out loud. First or new. First or new. So, retrieve by name or instantiate with name and delayed time. So this is actually what I want here. And this will be answers. Yeah, I don't want to do first or create, because if I do first or create, then if I click on the wrong date, it'll make a record in the database. I intentionally want to do new. But yes, good point. The first version of this that I had was a similar thing to first or create. But in this case, I want it to be, I don't want it to create the record until I save it on change, save it here. So, first or new, you're looking for, answered for is this. Otherwise, make a new one that has this. And from user ID, this user ID is not equal to auth user ID auth user ID or null. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So the first is what you are querying on. But that's going to pull anyone's entry. I actually want this. I actually want this. Do I? I don't know. This will show me the ones. I can go today, hit a number. And it has saved it. Very cool. So the reason I didn't want to do first or create is because if I do first or create, let me show you. Easy enough to demo. This is with first or create. Go into day 8, go back to reflect. Now I have a record for that. I didn't do anything there. But if I do first or new, go into day 10, go back, nothing in day 10, make a change, then I have a record for day 10. Yeah. Null. Wow, that's interesting. Is that a thing? Okay, I can take that. I don't know that that will work. I think what you're going for here is what are the new bitwise operators for this? Yeah. There are potentially, I don't know if it is, I don't remember what the new bitwise operator is for this. Like that, I don't know. I think this is the clearest without adding a special record to user. Maybe you can do model is. Maybe you can compare models. User is current user. Yeah, I guess you could do this. Maybe this makes it a little bit clearer what I'm trying to do. Wait, does optional work like that? Miscellaneous, optional. Closure as second argument. Wow, that's interesting. Let me try that. Also, auth ID. Okay. Let's try. As a method. No, but that's this is constant access though. This has to be as a method call. Yeah. And then this is a string, I'm guessing. Nope. No, it's not. It's not working for me. It's not working for me. But we can say user is then we can say not this user is auth user. Or the other way around, probably. Not auth user is this user. I'll just go auth user ID. In fact, probably like this is better. So if auth user is this user, then null for from user, otherwise do this user ID. Static. Self. How can you not do these in type-ins? Sys. During class fetch. Oh. Wait. So if I put something for the 31st... Beachcast, hey! How's it going? If I put something for the 31st, this will be this latest one. It does really work. So I can probably get rid of quite a few of these. So today I learned models actually support an is to do an identity check, which is interesting. But that means that I can rewrite my check here. So if the logged in user is the user I'm capturing data for, then this field must be null. Otherwise, use the logged in user as the user that this answer is from. Which means we should be able to give feedback for someone else. If we start up this reflection or answer questions thing with their ID, not ours. So, what have we done? We made this a little bit more succinct, which is good. We renamed some fields, which is also good. Now, when someone is logged in, they can either give feedback for themselves, or they can change their settings, or they can see their empty dashboard, or let's make it so that they can give feedback. Wouldn't my life be improved by using an IDE that automatically entered these things? Well, not. Oh, I need to put a link in the nav. Reflect, give feedback. Not sure I like such long continuous calls like that to simply find out if a user is X. Feels like a smell. Where was that again? Answer questions. Yeah. Maybe. Make it work, then make it pretty. Give feedback. Empty, no view. Empty, empty, empty. Okay, so show reflect just shows this component, and I want to do something similar for show give feedback. Which means I need to do a artisan make Livewire give feedback. And then reflect does something similar here. So I'm going to copy exactly the same thing here, but then I'll say has selected date. Okay, has answered questions is fine. Has selected date, else if, else unless. Oh, yeah. No, I hear you. Let's make these discrete if statements. Not has selected date, show that. Not has selected person, show select person. else. I guess. Oh, weird. Selected date, selected person ID. I don't know, something like that maybe? So selected date, then select a person, probably in the other order actually. Probably in the other order. Okay. So select a person, then select a date, and then take your selected person ID. Let's actually name these attributes the same. Take your selected person ID and your selected date, and then we need to start mounting these. Public function mount selected person ID, selected date. This will be int, oh, brackets. Okay, this selected. Why am I using person actually? Selected user is user find or fail selected user ID. Let's use that instead, which means I should change my Livewire component. Oh, end unless. I change that to, oh no. Oh, I should change that to selected date though. Oh, okay, I'll have a look. I will have a look. Selected person changes to selected user ID. Okay. You started loop with unless in the blade file. What? I don't understand. The last loop I did was on dashboard. If, end if, for each, and for each. Yeah, I removed the... Oh... Yeah. Weirdly, that actually works. Reflect does the same thing. So bug, but yeah, weirdly it still works. They obviously translate to the same bit of PHP output. Okay, I broke reflect because I renamed parameters that it accepts. So this won't work, but also if I go to reflect, that won't work. It works. Yeah, of course it works. What are you talking about? Of course it works. What? How does this work? Reflect. Mount takes no parameters. Select date. Selected date. Sure. I think I actually need to go to reflect where I'm using that and change that to selected date, and this to selected user ID. And I need to change all of these things everywhere. Yeah. Selected date has selected date. You see that's a little bit more consistent as well. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that. And then in answer questions, this changed from user ID to selected user ID. And then this user actually needs to change to selected user. And then selected date. See, so much clearer. Unfortunately, it means I need to search through this for other places that I've used those references. This selected user, date, this answer gets it from there. Fine. I think that'll work now. No. In the view, I probably have not just that, I think in answer questions as well. Potentially. No. Select date. This one, right? Okay. I think that's it. Let me look for all occurrences and then just change that to selected date. Yay! There I can see that answer. I can go to a new one. Okay, give feedback. Broke. So, cool. So give feedback, selected user, selected date. That's weird. Give feedback and reflect. Answer questions, selected user ID. No, that's right. That's right. That's almost exactly the same. That is exactly the same, actually. So, I need to reference this. Use app models user. Still not going to resolve this though, because these error messages are not helpful. Bad Livewire. Select user. I don't have a component for that. Has selected user, has selected date. So let me make a component. Huh? Weird. Select user, select date, answer questions. You have a select user. Am I maybe doing this the right way here? Give feedback. What does give feedback take? That's wrong. This is wrong. This shouldn't be here. Those shouldn't be there. I'll explain in a minute. I need to add some variables in here. Give feedback. has selected user, has selected date. Variable selected user. So we don't actually load this variable in here, right? We don't actually load this variable in here. We only load it in for answer questions. Okay. So what I was doing wrong was I was thinking immediately of all of the bits of data that the nested components would need. The selected user, the selected date. These things are used, but they're not used here. If we look at reflect, it's a very similar thing. Selected date does get stored, but only once it's been entered with this onSelectDate thing from the date selector. So I can actually put that there. What would selected date be? Mount. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll put that in there. Okay, mount can go underneath here, listeners can go underneath the publics, and all of these things can get squashed. On answer questions, I can probably copy that too. See, these are very, very similar. They're very similar. I might want to abstract that maybe. Anyway, for now, we need to do a user picker. But the quandary is, if we do a user picker, we can tell who else is on the system. And that makes it not immediately useful, because we either need to white label and have people install their own versions of this, or we need to group by organization, and then there's a whole lot of admin setting up. Or we could have someone enter an email address. We could have someone enter an email address, and if that user does not exist, we could make an account for them. What do we do with auth? What do we do when we auth here? Handle Google callback, update, or create. So we update, right? We could create a user account given an email address if one does not exist, and then pass that ID to who these answers are for, and then that person can create an account later. They can log in later, and they will still have all the feedback that's been given for them before they ever made an account. And we don't have to tell the person answering that they've picked correctly or not picked correctly, which means we don't leak that the accounts exist to begin with. So we could do that. That actually makes a kind of sense. If you pick a user, okay, set line manager, let's have similar stuff. No, we'll do it differently. We will do it differently. We are going to copy the UI for that though. So let's do this. Please enter the email of the user. For user email, on change email. And then we'll do a button here, button type, button. Wire click on selected? I don't know. One click OK. Whatever. Work then, pretty. Work them pretty. Oh, close others is what I meant to do. Okay, select user. We need this public method, public function that. Public for user email on change email. I could actually just use set for this, which is what I'm going to do. Set for user, for user email. Just do that, and then on click. Hey, welcome back. We were just talking through system design to minimize security issues and also make our lives a bit easier. And I think you'll like the elegant solution that I came up with. I hope. Okay. Email is for user email. Oh. This emit, not email, on selected user with user ID. Okay, which of these fields is nullable and which is not? Because here is another issue that I run into. I need to give a name and a token and a line manager email because none of these are nullable. Oh. That did not even add the initial changes. That's something special. Okay, so on table users, we want to table string. No, we actually need to go to the user table and make these nullable. Okay, let's also find line manager email needs to be nullable now. Because for some reason I didn't make these things nullable, which is ridiculous. Okay, so these are actually the resets. Oh. No, you know what I'm going to do? Nullable change. And then the resets just get rid of the nullable. Wow, weird. Weird formatting, but anyway. So these things need to be nullable. Email can probably be the only one that is not nullable because it's unique. So, and ID and the date stamps, timestamps. But name and token and line manager should be nullable. Because the only way that they are currently being created is in response to a Google callback. And that says update or create user with this email, give them the name and a random token. So those two are only populated, I guess these three are populated currently only when auth comes back from Google. And then there's another field which we added earlier on in the evening, which is this line manager field, which is the line manager field is also supposed to be nullable, but I didn't add it at the time. And I don't want to change this migration, I'd rather make a new one. So these, either they're created when you come back from Google Auth, or in this case, they're going to be created when you give feedback to someone and that email address isn't already in the system. Nice emotes, by the way. Are they from your channel? What happens when I mouse over them? Beach C1 hype. Cool. Those are cool. Invited users table. I not for now. Maybe as a follow-on from this work, but not for now. So email is unique, that can be nullable, and this should have been nullable before, but these three, particularly name and token, now don't need to be submitted when you enter this. So for give feedback, we actually have to say public selected user is a new public field, and this is a new event that you listen for. And on selected user, has selected user is true. I'll leave that, go to its first thing again. Because then I can swap the orders of these around if I want to as well. It's just always going to go back to the first question, which is fine. Okay. So let's see if that works. Email of the user. fred@indiefin.com. Undefined variable for user email. That is because I'm not doing a this. Give feedback. Okay, interesting. In the user table, I now have Fred, yay, who has a null for line manager. And so I can say, okay, I want to enter for today. Now I have an undefined variable, selected person ID. That got renamed actually. Give feedback, selected user ID, selected user ID. Okay, I'll have to go back through that again. fred@indiefin.com. Now it's not going to make a new record. Now. It is going to make a new record. That's terrible. Find or create. Oh, terrible. Poor Fred. He has 2 accounts now. Find or create. First or create. Poor Fred. There we go. We refresh and we do old Freddy's email again. Still the same one. And then today, selected user ID, undefined variable. Okay. So the issue I have here is that reflect is getting... I actually don't have to pass a user ID. I do have to pass a user ID, but... Hold on. I can say ID here. And here I can say ID as well. Because I have the selected user, I don't want to go and create some extra variables for that. There we go. Oh. So, what will happen if I put values in here? Who wants to bet this will break? Who's for it breaking? Who's for it working? I can't do polls in chat. Troika, I will do a lengthy post on this app and how it's constructed in Livewire. I am actually waiting for more stream hardware because then I can use... just totally fell down. I got some mount techs, but then a bunch of my other tech didn't get delivered. So I'm actually just waiting for good stream hardware to come through, good mic and stuff, so that I can record some Laracast stuff. Dreistat. Thank you so much. Thank you for your subscription. You have supported me for a very long time, and it's great to see you here, and thank you again for your support. I really appreciate it. I've never really pronounced your handle on stream. Am I pronouncing correctly? Is it supposed to be Dreistat? Like, is that like a German pronunciation? Roughly translated as tri-state? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never pronounced that out loud. You know. There you go. I'm keeping up with my German, I guess. 3 City. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your sub. I really appreciate it. It warms my heart. We were voting for whether this will work or not. I'm about to try and enter some states and Stadt. Dreistadt. Yes, okay. Fair enough. I think this will work. Maybe. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this will work. When I change this value, if it gives me an error, I will be crestfallen. It didn't give me an error. What is in the database for answers? Okay, the user ID I'm looking for is 5. That's Fred's ID. Answers, I have another answer here. For user ID, from user ID. It worked. It totally worked. Fred's not on the system yet, but he has feedback. That's very cool. That's very interesting. Okay. Yeah, it worked. Okay, I can actually test this because I can't log in as Fred, but I can test this if I give feedback for the other account that I have. Where are the dates? What? Why can't I see the dates? What happened there? Okay, remember the number, 2, and the comment is this broke. So if I log in with my other account, boopity boop boop boop, and I go to, how am I supposed to see this? I have no way to see this feedback. Oh no. I have no way to see this feedback. I need a view questions thing. Right? Yeah. Oh, I'd love to live in Germany. I don't know how they feel about homeschoolers. The last time I thought about that, they weren't too keen on it, so Liz might not be too happy. But it's a lovely place. From the brief time I was there, it is a lovely place. And it is inhabited by wonderful German friends. So what's not to like about it? I need a way to see static feedback. Not static feedback, but in a way that I can't edit it. So not answer questions, but view answers. Artisan make Livewire view answers. Answer questions. View answers. View answer. I named this the wrong thing. It should be survey. I'm just going to say view answer. Please excuse the weird whatevers. Okay. So as a user, you can see what the answers are for you. And so on the dashboard, I can actually show a list of these answers. Dashboard. So I'm going to do this exact thing here. Answers count. You have the following answers. answer from user name. Answer from name. I'll do that. I need to make this relationship in here. So public function from return, no, it's not on the user, it's on the answer. Public function from belongs to user class from user ID. I don't actually think I need the third one. I think I just need that, which means I probably don't need that either. So I have those reports. Phone call. All right. Refactoring is development. Iteration is your friend. Yes. Okay, so for an answer, I have from. Maybe I do need ID there. I'm going to leave these IDs in here. I don't think I need them, but I'm going to leave them in here anyway. However, I'm not seeing feedback for me. That's probably because I didn't hit save on this. Here we go. You have the following answers. Recent feedback. Answered or answer? Answered. Format YMD. I need a better format for that. Probably FJ something or other. Whatever. Okay. So when you go to that, you should have a URL that you can hit, which is view feedback. And show view feedback. And then view feedback will do view answer. Okay. Show view feedback. Answer ID. Okay. So, show view feedback. This needs to load in. Use app models. Answer, and that must hint. Which means I need to do a route for this. I didn't do actually a web, not a route, an argument for this. So this will be answer just answer is fine. That's all I need. Just answer is fine. Answer to view feedback. That gets put into this Livewire thing. I feel like this should just show all of this stuff. This is going to be a very simple component. But I want to have this here so that people can do things like respond or remember certain key things or highlight for themselves. So this is going to expand in functionality, which is why I'm starting with a Livewire component. Okay, but there's the questions. I should probably just reference these questions externally, but for now, I'm not going to do that. What do we want to do here? I don't know what we want to do here. Answer questions, loops through. Oh, it doesn't actually load the questions out here. What if I load the questions out here? So flex row with full for each. What does static give me here? What does that give me? Is that the Livewire component? Okay, I need to make this a link though, and that needs to go to that URL. That's the first thing I need to do. Dashboard. href. Let me put this on its own line. Route. Show view feedback. And this takes answer. Okay. Why? What? Also, let me give this some styling. Text blue 500 underline. There we go. It's not a blade component. Show view feedback. Blade file, anyway. Cannot unpack array with string keys. Very unhelpful. Okay, let's check this out. Is that it? Was that the problem? Nope. Oh, I know why. View answer is not taking in mount. Public function mount that should take int answer ID, and this should actually mount it. So use app models answer. This answer is there we go. Wow! Static is the Livewire component. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So these can all be in their own little div. And I'm doing some language-based stuff in answer questions that I can copy here. So I probably don't want this to be an H1. Let's do H2 for now. I don't really know what the title for this page is. Probably the same metadata I had on the previous page, but anyway. In fact, actually, let me see if I can get that there. Dashboard. I should be able to get that there. Why not? H1. I'll have to style that text because Tailwind nukes the styles of that. And then like that. So this, oof, that's a row. That should not be a row. Flex col with full col. Okay. So what this is doing is it's showing all of the markdown content that's shown in Reflect. Like if you reflect, you'll see this same markdown content showed here, and it's localized. So now what we need to do is show the answers for this. Answer. Weird. That does not work. I'm probably, yeah, so answer and then key, and then comment and key. Answer, so it's not like that, it's actually like that, and then comment. There we go. 2, and is this broke? Yay! I can do feedback for other people, and I can see that feedback. It is thug, like you would not believe. Also, yeah, super thug. I actually want to make this a little bit smaller. I don't know, a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit opacity 75, maybe that actually. No, much less than that. Dove. And then if you don't have, so if not that, or actually empty that, and empty that, then just skip this. So it'll only show you questions that have been answered for you, and the questions are optional for someone giving feedback for you, as we can see here. It'll show you what the score is and what the answer was. What I should do for this, not this, answer from, no, user answers, I should say latest. Will that work? It will work. Because then it's going to show like descending, right? Descending order. But now you can actually see feedback someone's given for you, which is really cool. I should have a way to dismiss this, hey? Just a little X or something. When you click on that, it saves something to your user profile to say, they've dismissed this error. Because that's pretty annoying. Okay, but actually for now, this is really cool. So I can give feedback to Chris at IndieFin. It is returned. Hello. And then I can log out, and I can log in back as my other account. Oh, name. Name what? From name. Name is name of non-object. Say answers from others where not null from user ID. That seems to make a bit more sense to me. And I'll need to use that on the dashboard. There we go. So it's not going to show my own ones. Yay! Very cool. Very, 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 very cool. I think a small thing a small change that I would make here, while we're at it, is just to wrap these things. If that, and if. There we go. Oh no. It's got to be not null. Because score can be 0. Very cool. Okay, so you can see, you can give feedback for other people based on their email. You can see feedback that's been given to you. One thing that I haven't added, although I'm kind of at the end of the stream now, one thing I haven't added, hello, welcome back. One thing I haven't added is the ability to do anonymous and for line managers to see anonymous feedback. I think that's going to have to wait until the next time I work on this. But this actually is quite a step ahead now. People can give feedback for each other, which they couldn't before. So I'm quite happy about that. So let's just do a quick review. I renamed some stuff. It's not really a huge thing. I shortened this to first or new, which is cool. Boopty boopty boop. Some relationship stuff. Debel for column renames. What did I have to... I wanted to do something in the database that I forgot about now. Oh, add whether the thing can be anonymous. I'm not going to do that this time. Git add, git commit. Added the ability to give feedback to others. Okay. I need to fix that. One low severity thing. Now, let's SSH forge at measure. I don't know if automatic deploy is on. You know what? I'm going to actually see if these changes hit here. I don't know if the migrations will hit though. Let's make it a bit bigger. You can try at home by going to measure.assertchris.io. Oh, thank you. I have a 500 error. That's probably because the migrations didn't run. Oh, do I need to discover? Nope. Should have just waited and read the error log, huh? Name of non-objects. Okay, now I open the live database. I'm just going to do this on this screen quickly. Make sure I'm not bleeding any user data. Did this do a composer install? Nothing to install or update. Those are all nullable. I see Nicholas is already logged in. Good, I love it. Okay. Answers, what does that database data look like? From user ID null. Oh, those are all... I didn't change the scripts. That's a bit annoying. I didn't change the script to also set null where ID is 0. I should have done that inside the migration. I think that's the problem. Cool, so I can set my line manager, david@indiefin.com. There we go, and that'll tell me in settings. I can reflect, so I've got some other reflections here. I can see from things I've entered. I can give feedback. For today, you suck. And then if I log in with that account, feedback for today, you suck. Success. Great success. Great success. Who's your line manager? I can be your line manager. It doesn't have functionality tied to it yet, but your line manager is someone who you do one-on-ones with, someone who you report to, I guess. The intent is that when I get around to that functionality of people being able to submit anonymous feedback, that a line manager will be a person who sits in between that anonymous feedback and the person to make sure it's not emotionally charged or full of destructive talk. With that anonymity there is the risk of people being perhaps indelicate, and so the line manager is just someone who will be in between potentially indelicate communication and the person that it's going to. But I haven't gotten that functionality yet. That's actually where I was going to start, and then I ended up doing the rest of the feedback stuff anyway. So I've got something to add on to next time. But yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. I just had to clean up some database data, but yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Adam, are you streaming tonight? Oh, thank you. Good job. Good job. That's really cool. I can mail some candy to you. Adam, are you going to be streaming? Is anyone in chat going to be streaming? Because I'd like to host you and or raid you. So if you're going to do it, go do it.